Hello again, I am Blunty, that's my emotional support EV, his name is Blue, and I've been having a bit of a flibbity-gibbet of a weekend, just not having the most funnest time of my entire life. So I spent a large portion of yesterday just deliberately seeking out wholesome stuff to look at on the internet, which is a challenge on its own, because as we all know, the internet is largely made up of very, very much not wholesome stuff. So when you can find little puddles of the wholesome stuff, I tend to sink into it for a little while. And in particular, believe it or not, I found a couple of especially wholesome subreddits, which I might make other videos about. But today, I wanted to share some memes and stuff that I stole from one particular subreddit that they're not especially wholesome compared to some of the other stuff I was finding, but they were extremely relatable. And between giggling my bum off and feeling extremely called out by them, I thought I might share them with you, because I can also use them as a teaching tool for those of you who need a little bit of inside baseball about autism spectrum disorder, or as the subreddit calls it, aspiememes, aspie being a shortened version of Asperger's, which is a term I don't like to use because it's named after a doctor who, rather unfortunately, kind of was helping the Germans in World War II, which was problematic. Moving aside, I forgot to frame up so I could have some space to put the memes. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Let's go over here. Walking around with your arms like is Goblin Core. I love that. I'm stealing that too, Goblin Core. So I didn't think I did this, but it's a thing that, you know, I knew from researching autism when I was first diagnosed, and I was looking at various sources and things like that. And I've continued that research throughout the years to learn more and more about it, to inform myself and learn how to teach others about it a little bit better so they can understand me and others like me a little bit better. But yeah, the whole T-Rex arms, used to call it. And I'm exaggerating here for the camera's point of view because I don't normally hold them up that high, but I didn't think I ever did that. But then someone pointed it out to me once and said, "What's with the T-Rex arms?" Utterly subconscious. So now I'm really, really self-aware about the T-Rex arms. But they're not really T-Rex arms, because you think about the T-Rex going rah like that, but T-Rex's arms didn't work like that. I'm falling. The Roomba hit the desk. T-Rex, with the more recent research into the bone structure of T-Rexes suggests that their hands are held that way, not this way, so they could hold on to stuff that they were trying to hold, not down like you often see them like that. That's like that, and they could also do that to shovel things in the mouth. I don't know, but yeah, the natural posture was palms in, by the way. But yes, Goblin Core is such a cooler word for it. Not T-Rex arms, Goblin Core. I don't know if whether goblins are commonly drawn with their little arms like that, but I love that little picture so very much. It is one of the cutest goblins I've ever seen in my life, and from here on in, it's Goblin Arms. Aspie Goblin Arms, Goblin Core. Decisions be like, you can stop the troll at any time, but the handle is a bit sticky and your boss told you not to. There's real talk right here. On the one hand, if you were told to do something in your job by your boss, and he wants it done a very specific way, you do it that specific way because that's the way they want it done. These are the order of operations you must follow to please the boss and not be stuck in another awkward social interaction where they have to retrain you and explain it to you again. You're smart enough to know that's not necessarily the best way to do it, but this is the way they want it done. So if they're not, if they're looking over your shoulder, you do it the way they want it to do. And if your boss told you not to pull the lever, you don't pull the lever. But on the other hand, all the people are going to die if you don't pull the lever. But the lever is also a bit sticky, and that's a really unpleasant tactile sensation there. So what are you going to do? I guess everybody dies. This one's much more wholesome. This is the kind of stuff I was looking for. Rest assured, you will never bore me by talking about your special interests. You're an astronomer? I have questions. You draw maps of medieval London? I love you. The world is a banquet of knowledge, and each of us has brought a dish to the table to dig in. So, the Aspie thing here, the autism thing here is special interests tend to be a thing. We get very, very obsessive about a very specific subject, sometimes just the one subject. Sometimes if you're like me, you bounce between them, sort of, you just get obsessed about one thing, you bounce to another thing, a few weeks or months or a year or two down the track, and you move on. And when you are in social interactions and you're struggling to find ways to socially interact so you don't seem like the quiet nonsense person, you tend to you fall back on your special interest stuff, because that's stuff you know about, you can talk with confidence, you know a lot about it, you can explain it to people, and you're expecting them to be interested in this because maybe you're teaching something interesting because you find it really interesting, so you're telling them all about it as deep level as you can go. And very often that doesn't work out the way we imagine it will, and it's very hard to learn that lesson because, well, what else are we going to talk about? Small talk? Small talk doesn't work if you've got ASD. No, I don't. No, small talk is a nightmare. Small talk is extremely unpleasant. Small talk will just shut down my brain. Don't want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. When's my turn to talk? Would you like to know anything about the Transformers in the 1980s, the Generation 1? I can tell you everything you want to know about Starscream. So when you do come across people like Sketchies by Bose, Owl at the library, it's a very pleasant thing when someone is not only patient with you, but is eager to listen to all the interesting stuff you might have learned about owls, or frogs, or Lego, or Starscream, or Soundwave. Soundwave is even better. Favorite Decepticon in the comments down below. Soundwave, superior. Autobots, inferior. It's just the way it goes.
Soundwave superior.
This game makes Dark Souls look easy. Small talk on the Nintendo GameCube. Please no. Discuss body hair? Yes. No. Can you have a conversation without getting weird? No. No, I can't. That would literally be my Dark Souls game. It would be the most difficult video game I had ever played. Can you have a conversation without getting weird? Not a chance. What's the cheat code? Can I see the script ahead of time, please? I would like to work out some responses in advance. Ooh, another one about sensory discomfort, like I was telling you before with the bricks and stuff. Well, not every autism kid. So, free discomfort flaps. Remove flap and regulate your elevated move. Use until thoroughly upset. I love that so much. It would have the opposite effect on me, because again, I really love textures. Really love textures. I used to have a blanket as a kid, and it was my very favorite blanket. I would get very upset whenever the blanket would have to be taken off my bed to be washed, because the blanket was one of those orange-yellow fleece blankets. I don't know whether you know the ones I'm talking about, but they've got a border of satin around the outside, where the satin is sort of folded over the edge of the blanket, sort of a hem kind of thing to stop the fleece from fraying or stuff, I think. But I used to get the satin and push the insides of the satin together and rub them against each other, because the back of a satin, you know, you got the shiny side of the satin, which is on the outside of the blanket because it's doubled over, but on the inside, you've got the rough side of the satin, and when you rub those together against each other, the two grains of the weave of the satin would rub against each other and go zzz, 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 zzz. And I would do that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours as a kid. And long before I was ever diagnosed, and long before I even heard the term stimming, yeah, that should have been an early hint. If autism education was a lot better when I was a kid, it might have been one of the clues early on to get diagnosed and get some help and understand myself a little bit better, instead of living for about 27 years of a living nightmare undiagnosed. But yes, discomfort flaps. That would be a terrible nickname for somebody. Or your girlfriend. Hi, honey. Hi, discomfort flaps. There's another one I'm extremely called out by. The impulse buy. I want to buy this cool thing, but I don't need it. Just buy it. You're special and you deserve it. Little impulse fairy says, good point. What does self-control say? He agrees. Self-control just tied to a chair in the corner, gagged and bound. I have frequently very poor impulse control. It's gotten a little better during the last 2 years of lockdowns and stuff like that, I guess, because a lot of my impulse purchases happen as I'm browsing stores and looking around. It's when you're shopping online, impulse buys are a little bit, there's some sort of more of a barrier there, I guess, because I can add things to a wish list. I just keep them there and go, oh, go back to the wish list. Why did I add that to my wish list? I don't need that. I don't want that. I shouldn't be spending money on that. How about food instead? So I don't know what's going to happen as I sort of venture out into stores more and more as we decompress from the whole lockdown habits. But yeah, I'm called out by this so big. Somehow it smells even worse than the unscented trash bags by themselves. Scented trash bags that trigger sensory overload. Yup. Yep. I thought it would be a really good idea to get some scented trash bags when I saw them on the shelf. Oh, scented trash bags. That sounds nice. That would, I mean, if you leave your trash in the kitchen, garbage bag long enough for it to stink, there's probably an issue there anyway. You got to take it outside before it starts to rot. But I thought, well, that'll help just this kitchen generally smell nice. So I got some like vanilla scented ones, I think, but it was a really, really chemically overpowering, disgusting vanilla smell. And I had trouble staying in my kitchen when I had those, but I couldn't just throw them out because that would be awfully wasteful. And I really, really don't like wasting stuff like that. So I had to use the entire roll of bags, and I was unhappy about it for the entirety of their existence in my kitchen. I've never bought them since. No, don't say that. That's not how the neurotypicals are reacting, and they'll be offended. My autism. Say it anyway. I think it's funny. Yeah, that's another one I'm especially called out. But again, it falls into the impulse control thing. Yeah, it's going to make people feel weird. But if you get a laugh from just one or two people in the group, it'll be worth it. But when it falls flat and everybody looks at you like you're some sort of bizarre alien just trying to infiltrate human society for research purposes. Yep. You guys have a train of thought, like it's on rails and shit, going straight ahead into a predestined destination? I've got a Roomba of thought. It can move straight ahead, but as soon as it pumps into something, it'll turn around and start moving into a brand new, completely random direction. I'm stealing this one for myself from here on in. On my live streams in particular, because when my train of thought gets derailed when I'm pre-recording something, I can just chop that bit out and delete it, so you guys never know. On my live streams, obviously I can't do that, so very frequently on my live streams, and those of you who frequent my live streams over on twitch.tv/bluntnate cross promotion, you'll notice that I very often make reference to, the train of thought got derailed, the train of thought jumped the tracks. But no, my Roomba of thought hit a wall. My Roomba of thought hit a chair leg. It doesn't kind of roll off the tongue quite as easily, but it's funnier stealing it. No, I did not miss a call. I watched it ring the whole time. Yep. Don't call me. Don't call me. I've told people who ring me regularly for like business and shit, don't call me. Email me, message me, DM me on Twitter if you must. If you're a millennial and you don't know how email works anymore, getting business contacts through DMs on Twitter is weird as a Gen Xer. It feels really weird. Email is where that stuff belongs. Fucking kids. Getting blasted every few seconds is violence. Fan is turned on. Fan is set to oscillate. Oscillating fans. Not a huge issue for me, but I have known someone else who absolutely cannot deal with oscillating fans. A fan pointed directly at them, so the stream of air is nice and constant and consistent. No worries. Beautiful. Hot day. Lovely. Oscillating fans. So just every few seconds. No, they react very poorly to that. And I have seen a meltdown caused exclusively by an oscillating fan at one time. And yeah, it was only later that I found out why. So from then on in, don't tell their parents this, but I broke the oscillator on their fan. Because once you know how those things work, if you ever pulled one apart, like I did because I was that kind of kid, but yeah, the oscillating mechanism is very easy to break from the outside. Or possibly don't break other people's property, but impulse control issues, and I just wanted to make someone else's life better. I can be forgiven for that. What during the land would punish me for that? All I want is for someone to just exist around me. I like doing nothing with you. This is absolute relationship goals for me, both interpersonal relationship and romantic relationships. I love finding people who I can be completely comfortable, relaxed, content with. If we're just in the same room together, we're not even doing the same thing. You know, in the meme here, one person's drawing on the computer, the other person's having a little read, and you're having a little sip of the coffee, and it's lovely and comfortable. I love being that comfortable with someone else. I like having my own space, but I love finding the people who I don't mind having in my space. It is such a good feeling. having zero pressure for small talk, for chatting about whatever we're watching on TV, for watching the same thing. You know, we don't have to talk about after the end of every episode of what the episode meant to them and things like that. You know, I want to have a podcast after we finish watching a show. I just want to be able to enjoy it with someone. And you know, it's not like don't ever talk to me ever. It's just like the lack of uncomfortable silence, I guess, is what I'm after. I don't want anyone in the room to feel like there needs to be conversation when we can just enjoy the presence of one another. And maybe, you know, if it's an appropriate thing for that particular relationship, to just have a bit of a cuddle, to spoon on the couch and just not say a word for hours and hours and hours. Goals. Hashtag goals. Back to the call thing. When someone calls instead of texting, no, fuck you. I mean, it's not a very clever meme. It just makes me really laugh that there's a clone trooper telling the apparatus, activate order 66. No, fuck you. Text me. This could have been an email. Bloop. Felt really called out by this one as well. Bravo 6 going dark. Being an autistic who passes as a neurotypical feels like being a war spy with a well-kept secret. One infiltrating a foreign country with a culture you, although understanding it, find it somewhat strange. I guess you can call it espionage. God damn it, I love puns. Espionage. That's what I'm calling it from here on in when I'm masking in social situations. I have a concept of what's going on. I am studying it. I'm trying to learn from it, trying to understand how all these people are interacting, what their language means. You know, trying to figure out the culturally coded behaviors. But, you know, I'm not one of them. I can never be one of them. I'm just a spy. I'm doing espionage. I love that. My Roomba of thought and my espionage. That's how I'm living my life, people. Anyway, I think that'll do. That's probably more than enough to make up. Oh, I recorded for way longer than I intended to. Long video is long. I might have to package it up in smaller package if I do this type of thing again. I enjoyed doing it though. Did you learn anything? Did you find anything relatable? Anyway, I am Blunty. Thanks for watching. Thanks as always to the Patreon scrolling above there. I will catch you next time, and I'm going to spend the rest of the day looking at wholesome stuff as well, because